Ooh, this could be the thumbnail, and we'll get a ton of views because people love pregnancy test videos. We are late.
Yeah, I didn't realize how late it was.
When life leaves you hanging, don't quit.
Probably for pull-ups.
11, 12, 13, 14, there you go. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 27, 28, 29, 30. All right. Oh, feels good right now. It's Friday. Best day of the week. Well, except for Saturday.
May he give you the desire of your heart and make all your plans succeed. May you shout for joy in the name of our God. Now this I know, God gives victory to his anointed.
Dang. Breakfast, coffee, writing. First of all, would you care to explain this?
It was on a discount table for $1, and I thought I might need it in the future. And I like to have it around. And I had a dream last night that I had twins, but I know I'm not pregnant. Okay.
6 months ago this week, we went off to Indianapolis, and we spent 3 or 4 days writing apology letters to quite a few folks. We vlogged about it a bit, what the experience was, but we didn't share the letter with you. The reason why was because we thought our relationships with these people who were sending the letters to needed to take top priority, and we didn't want the vlog to distract from what was going on there. Here we are 6 months later, and we feel like we've given people enough time to respond to the letter, so we wanted to take some time to share this letter that we wrote to these people with you guys. And I think there's 2 main reasons why I want to share this. One is I feel like if you guys are being impacted by our life, we want to give you as full of a picture as possible of the positives and the negatives and how we're growing. And the second thing is, what is contained in this letter are probably some of those valuable lessons that we have learned in the last 5 to 10 years that has dramatically changed our life. So I'm actually very excited to share those things because I would love it if those things helped other people. Because we experienced a lot of pain from this stuff that I think was avoidable. I don't know if it's avoidable, it doesn't really matter, but now that we know what we know, is avoidable for the future at least. I am going to post the letter in its entirety below, and we customized these letters for various people. We mailed these letters to about 18 people. What happened was we went off to this place, we wrote this letter, we talked about it with our therapist, and we got kind of a final copy and we shipped it off. Just for the sake of time, I'm gonna focus on 6 of these points. The first thing we apologized for is we made judgments about the value and importance of other people's calling when it differed from ours. For the last 5 or 10 years, I feel like I, and therefore our family, I've had a pretty clear calling of what it was I was supposed to do, or I don't know how else to phrase it in less spiritual language, but I was pretty confident that I was on the track, at least that I wanted to be on or that I should be on.
And you were very driven. Like you were confident, driven, passionate.
And outspoken about it.
Yeah.
And we lived our lives very openly. So when people joined us, it felt really good. You know, we were natural leaders. But then when certain people that joined us either left us or certain people didn't join us, I became judgmental at times about how important their calling was because I didn't understand it, and I'm like kind of have this tunnel vision about this one mission that we're on. And I think that really harmed a lot of our relationships, was to not understand that different people have different callings that are just as important, even though they might not look the same, they might not impact as many people or be as dramatic.
And I think you're really good at like trying to fit those people into yours or our calling, but when it didn't fit, I think that's what you didn't know how to handle.
Yeah, I didn't know how to handle it. I didn't know how to support it, which I think those things are okay, but actually once I take on a role of judgment, I think that's actually negative.
We sacrificed long-term health for short-term companionship.
I know for myself, I just wanted friends and companions like really, really bad.
I don't think I wanted it as bad as you, but I wanted it.
Yeah, I mean, I craved relationships like from a pretty young age, and having best friends or people to share the journey with. And then on the spiritual side, I think that just got validated by everything we heard of like, you know, it's better to do things in community and with other people and with the church. And I can see now that kind of like longing, it actually cost some of these relationships more long term. And I never knew about that trade-off. So I actually think in a way I was just like a relationship whore. I love the quintessential picture of the woman that's like getting beat by the man and craves that attention so much that she keeps on going to the next man. Like you can see that brokenness there, but I think I was that. I mean, that's a more graphic picture, but we wanted people so bad, like friendships so bad and companionship so bad, that we like would shove people into this friend box whether or not they really belonged there, or whether or not they fit or wanted to be there. More recently, I've wondered if maybe we are supposed to spend those years actually just being lonely and using God to fill that loneliness instead of turning to people and using them. The third thing is we looked down on people and tried to fix them. This is a hard one because this was kind of like our background and training. We felt like this is the best way to help people. We wouldn't have used the words that people are a project, but really the way that we saw them was in these moral ways that either we were further advanced, more mature, or superior. And therefore when we saw them, instead of just being able to enjoy them where they were at, we saw them...
We had this burden like, oh,
yeah,
I have something that you need. Surely you'd want it from me, and surely it's my responsibility to give it to you as a good Christian would.
And a lot of times, most of these things, I think were actually consensual. Like, the thing that we had to offer, people wanted. But what it did in the long run was it created an unhealthy and unbalanced relationship that we contributed to. So it feels really empowering, like Cami said, at first to say, oh, you need something and I have it, let me give it to you. But the problem with that is you're actually defining the roles right there. You're saying, okay, I'm a have, you're a have not. I'm more powerful or more gifted or something, whatever, blessed than you are, so let me give you what I have. And it prevented us from really being able to just enjoy and love people.
We use people for companionship and applied the label friendship prematurely, recklessly, and ambiguously.
I always thought it was more loving to call people friends and to act like we're close. Even though sometimes with people, we felt like we were giving more than we were receiving. Or maybe we just like wanted to be friends or hoped for friends, but we didn't really feel the same way about people that they felt about us. In calling people friends, it wasn't accurate, and that actually really came back and bit us in the ass. Because later people came to us and they acted like, well, you said we were your friend. Like, you need us and we need you. And we were like, well, we actually don't feel the same way. But for a long time, we actually reinforced that belief because we thought it was gentler on people's feelings. And I think in a way we actually wanted people to be our friends and hoped for that.
Yeah.
But in the long run, it just really caught up with us. So now, I think we're actually really careful how we use that phrase and who we consider our friend. This is why I'm actually really careful about even how we say, oh, we love you. We've learned love is an action. It's not just a sentimental feeling of goodwill or niceness towards someone. I think I have this like spiritual baggage where we use this word all the time, like so loosely. We'll be like, oh, well, I care about you, and that's why I'm doing this really mean thing. And it didn't seem mean, but even these friendship things, we did it all in the name of love. We're like, oh, we love you, that's why we call you a friend. But it actually hurt people more in the long run. So now I'm like, I want to be careful of how I say I love you, and I want to be careful of who I call my friend, because it's not until I really know if we're on the same path with someone for a while that I think I really know if they really are my friend. Which brings us to our last point. We did not set up or communicate boundaries and sent mixed messages about the relationship.
Even if we never said to someone, you're my friend, there's actually signals you can send people that tell them that. And we weren't careful or aware of these signals that we were sending to people. For example, yeah, come hang out with us 3 times a week.
Or anytime, like our door is always open.
Anytime,
come
yeah.
into our house anytime.
I think that tells someone that like you're friends, even if you don't say you're my friend.
We did a lot of those things because we thought that's what a Christian should do, is like not have boundaries or just give everything away. So we invited people to births, we invited people to live in our home, we invited people to our event, or with no boundaries at all, just into our lives, to kind of like our most intimate moments. Which has actually been really cool with this vlog, because what this vlog has done is it's presented a very clear boundary. And I know it's weird in another way that you're at home watching us on TV, but we've had to be clear in our mind, even through the comments we went through stuff early on, to be like, okay, you're not our friend. And that's okay. Like, it's just like an author who writes a book. You might read the book and have your life changed, but you might feel like you know us, but we don't know you, and you don't love us, and in a direct way, we don't love you. Now, we care about people, which is why we're making this.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to be harsh, because like, you know, to a certain degree, through some comments, we have affection for people, and we see things, and I really enjoy hearing your stories, but it's just not, it's so different from the people that we really need to call our friends, the people that we need and depend on. We felt guilty about any boundary before. That's one thing I've noticed is if we said, oh, okay, no, we're not available to hang out, or no, you're not a close enough friend to come to our kid's birthday party or to come hang out on a Saturday night, I think we used to feel so guilty about that. But now, through almost 20 years of living the opposite and being like, hey everyone, come into our lives anytime. We're all family. Oh, that is what pisses me off about like Logan Paul's vlogs or any of these guys, is they're like, hey, join the family, just subscribe. And they use this word, it is like they're raping the language just for their own convenience to sell something. So they're saying like, oh yeah, dude, like, join up with me, I really need you and care about you. It's like, no, they're just using you, you know? And we did a lesser version of that, I think. Or at least it felt lesser, maybe it wasn't, but we were completely unaware of it. We said, hey guys, we're all friends here, aren't we? And it wasn't accurate.
Yeah.
This is why I talk on the vlog more than Cami, because if I didn't, we'd have moments like this a lot on the vlog. So that's it. We got back from the retreat, we put these letters in the mailbox, and it felt really good to mail these off. It felt like we're really like moving on past this thing that was really holding us back, because one of the things we just had to acknowledge is we've hurt a bunch of people. And for me, there was a lot of emphasis on, well, we didn't do it on purpose, and we didn't know we were doing it. And these weren't the type of things that actually anyone was really coming to us and accusing us of. We've been accused of other things actually, but no one was saying, you sacrifice long-term health for short-term companionship. But these were conclusions we came to after a lot of work and therapy and listing things out. And one of the beliefs that helped us with this is to make an apology or an amends or a reconciliation, it actually doesn't take two parties. Like, we can actually just own our part and admit our part, and it's up to the other party at this point. If they want to accept our version of the story or forgive us or accept our apology or become friends, like that's not in our control. But we're not held hostage by their approval of where we're at anymore once we kind of like own our part. So that was huge for me. We put these in the mail. We sent them off, and I felt like we were able to move on. I felt like a huge thing broke where, I don't know, one of the things that led me to schedule that retreat was this feeling that there was something spiritually being blocked between me and God, actually, not these people. And I was like, I don't know what this is, but if there's anything I can do, I want to do it.
Out of 16 or so people, I think we heard back from like somewhere between 5 to 7 people, and out of those people, we had like a couple that we actually met with face to face, which on one hand was really cool that those people reached out. But it was also hard to kind of like have silence on a lot of the even more important relationships that were in our lives. But that is out of our control. So I had to learn how to let go of that.
One thing our therapist suggested was just to own your part in this letter. So we wrote this letter. We didn't really give explanations, like the things that could sound like excuses or some of the behind the scenes stuff as to why we did it. And the reason was, we were told if they want to know, they'll ask us, and then we can offer more of an explanation if they want it. But what we found was most people aren't that interested in why you did it. They're just hurt. Something else that really came up in this is, like I said, most of these things weren't things that people were asking for an apology for. These are, I think, more complicated things in relationship roles, and people were saying things like, well, you're just a jerk, or you have pride, or we're hurt, or, you know, is very kind of like these vague things that we didn't necessarily agree with. These things we agreed with, we were on the same page like 100%, but not everyone was. But what we were told by our therapist, what we've come to believe is, even though people don't believe this yet, because like I said, this was a role that it takes kind of two to be complicit in. Like, a lot of people have used us and I think wanted a hero or wanted someone to follow or wanted someone to lead them. And we signed up for that. We're like, okay, great, you want to follow? We want to lead. Great, let's do this. And then after a number of years, we saw like, that was not a healthy dynamic. And while we've come to that conclusion and kind of like shifted ourselves this way, I think a lot of people are still, they haven't come to that same conclusion. And that's okay. Our letter might help them do that if they're open to thinking about the change that we've been through. And there's actually a couple people that have said that our letter has really helped them to realize that their pattern on this side is they go from looking to one leader to another and kind of using them in that way.
And this helped me see how I've done that to other people, how I was the one down here receiving from the person up here and had these lofty expectations that they would fill. And I have a lot more compassion now, and I think there's going to be people in our lives that we want to apologize to for that.
Yeah, we turned to people thinking that people could fix us. Yeah. You know, they had some magic formula and their life looked so good and put together. Everything that's on this list, like Cami said, there's like almost an opposite
Reversed,
of it, where we were on the receiving end of relationships, especially with spiritual mentors and whatnot. We gave them like way too much power. So I hope this conversation was helpful for you guys, because this has been a huge changing force in our life. And we've had to pull back from a lot of relationships and just reevaluate what we were using relationships for and how to have healthy ones moving forward. Because I think in a way I had to admit relational bankruptcy. Like, we didn't know what a healthy relationship was. Like, we were against boundaries, and now we're opting for more clarity and boundaries before a relationship even starts, which feels like really unchristian. It feels like, oh, you're a jerk. Like, you want to do a contract for that business,
Or you're selfish.
yeah.
You just want all your time to yourself.
Yeah, well, I think people are accusing us of that now, but we've heard so many people on the other side. We're like, this actually isn't selfish. It might be overreactionary, but we're trying to protect the relationship. Okay, it's Shabbat. It's been a long week. Time to transition. This Shabbat is a very special Shabbat because I got talked into using the AC. So tonight for the movie, and tomorrow we're gonna turn the AC on in the house, which is the first time all summer. But it's been blazing hot, so I'll try and enjoy it.
I am looking forward to just putting aside my normal cares and worries of the week and just being able to rest in someone who did all the work for me. The real hard heart work that feels like it's never done. And I hope that each one of you is able to find some kind of rest this weekend from especially the work that our hearts do.
We'll see you guys next week. Shabbat Shalom.